Guys, the Space Marine 2 review is finally done. I want to thank you guys and our sponsors, G Fuel, for helping directly support the show. We got a new discount code down below. Buy one, get one free. It's going to run, I think, to the 31st, so get your opportunity now. Every tub goes directly to supporting us. Sorry this one took so long. Some stuff happened behind the scenes in my life. Not quite ready to share it with everybody yet, but I wanted to get this one out because Warhammer is my passion, obviously, and I brought the boys in on this one since we played 3-player co-op. Don't worry, this is not the format. This is just a format for maybe ones that we missed. This one has been a little late, or you know, things we want to go into more depth on. So tell me if you like it. Thank you so much for watching. We have plans for many more normal Angry reviews coming at you soon. Call of Duty, Dragon Age Inquisition, of course more. So thank you guys so much for your patience and enjoy. Check it out.
We were talking about last night. What?
Hey guys, welcome to our extended review discussion for Space Marine 2. This is Warhammer 40,000. Now this thing did come out almost 2 months ago, okay? That's my fault for taking so long. A lot of stuff happening behind the scenes, but I live and breathe Warhammer 40,000, so I had to put something up. I'm falling behind. I want to put something up, so we're going to do an extended review discussion with my brothers in arms, Alex and other Joe,
hates Space Marines.
who have played the entire game through. He hates the Ultramarines is who he hates. But yeah, so let's talk about Space Marine 2 and an extended review discussion. Obviously, as a fan of this, I live, you know, I've got all the armies except for one, the Dark Eldar. I'm still waiting on like a refresh for that line. And I love the game. I love the lore. If I were to tell you the lore is an 11 out of 10, the tabletop is like an 8 out of 10. This is just really, this is where I live at, and I love it. And so to see Space Marine 2 have some amount of success and be so realized, it's very impressive to get this universe kind of authentically recreated and play in, you know, role play in, live in. And we did plenty of role playing in the game with our voice changers.
Brothers, proceed to the launch bay.
Now what?
We're at the launch bay. You have to hold down the button, because this is modern game design.
I got it.
Didn't work.
Yeah.
It
Go
didn't
for
work.
you.
I don't know why.
I don't know. OJ is not very good at voices, so.
No.
Joe, can you sound epic?
Hi, guys. Snarf, snarf.
Joe, you are ruining chat's immersion.
Seriously, guys, come on. Let's go shoot up some idiots.
but he
Betty
can.
White was good.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
he can sound epic, so that's good.
Space Marines! Let's go!
How are you doing that with your voice? Are you spitting?
Shoot! Watch your six, Joe!
Oh, the spit is somehow getting through my armor.
But yeah, so if you're going to ask me whether it's safe to buy, I mean, everybody has already bought it, but this is more for historical sake for me. Yes, I told everybody that has watched our streams and watched us play through it to go out and buy it. I want to support it. If you haven't bought it, if you're interested in it, definitely pick it up. It gets the lore right, it gets the look right, and the gameplay is a lot of fun. Now, that's not to say it's not without some flaws and some problems here and there that we'll get into, you know, story, gameplay, I think multiplayer. But this basically gives you, I think, enough in each of the major areas that I think it's worth it. What do you guys think of Space Marine 2?
For Warhammer, I know the bare minimum. I know I just kind of dipped my toes whenever we started playing and stuff. But this game, I had a lot of fun with it. I love just how rich in lore this game would set up, and the great hack and slash. It's so fucking gory. You felt like you were a Marine, like just fucking behemoth standing next to regular soldiers, and just the way you fight these Tyranids.
Yeah,
I
it was
love
cool
the chainsaw
walking up
stuff
alongside the Imperial Guard and seeing how much bigger and better, more badass.
Oh yeah, we were way badass. Yeah, I love playing that. We got lucky. We got to play with each other, obviously.
Yes.
But I hear the AI was pretty bad. At
Yeah,
some-
it could be pretty
Yeah,
poor
so the
sometimes.
best way to play this game
Yes.
is with one or two of your buddies, and 3-player co-op, which I never expected. I think 3-player co-op helps save the game and helps make the game even better. So I appreciated that they added that.
Yeah, my only kind of gripes were we got disconnected a lot whenever we were playing. There's times we had to restart the mission because we couldn't even connect.
There were issues at launch,
Yes.
especially with you.
AngryJoe, your ultramarine symbol is not lit.
There's nothing to press. I don't know. I'm in the zone.
This is janky.
To walk in and walk back out. All right. Okay. And now I'm back in. Nothing happened.
Look, it worked for Alex.
Go down the ramp. Coming back up the ramp.
You're not gonna come with us, are you, Joe?
Right here.
You've talked with the quartermaster.
All you had to do was
nothing, and we would have been boarded by now. Ow!
I can't go in there. I'm not moving from this spot.
Alex, report Brother AngryJoe to the Inquisition.
What'd I do? What did I do?
Refusing to fight for the Emperor. That's what we get for him being Galadriel.
Why is the evil still in me?
Don't leave this square.
I don't know why
It's
specifically
me.
you.
I think
You
it just. I don't
crashed.
know what. It just kept crashing on me.
And
It
then
just,
doing frame. It was like frame by frame. for
Yeah,
a
I was
little
watching just a still show. I don't know what the hell was going on. I fixed my computer, I restarted everything, but I just kept having problems. But later on, it got fixed. But it was still a great time playing.
Yeah, I think that it does have a lot of problems, and it was feature light. There's a lot of sameness, but you have to support companies that make games with love and respect. And we've played all of the Warhammer video games, and a lot of them aren't very good. They don't have the level of detail that you would expect, and there are little things planted everywhere in this. And it was just a really, really fun experience playing 3-player co-op. It had just enough stuff that I'm not, super upset about its price versus what we got out of it. And so even despite all of its flaws, it was a badass game. It was a really, really fun experience. Now, it can never rise to the levels of, 10 out of 10 because we played Ultramarines, and they're fucking lame. They're just, there's nothing good about them.
That's the blue Smurf hate because they are the law.
They're
everybody's
gas
favorite
station
faction.
vanilla ice cream, live, laugh, love Marines, pumpkin spice latte, boring. boring motherfuckers.
Fucking
And I
bees.
don't like Space Marines pretty much at all. And so, like, I'll tolerate some groups, and they're fine, but Warhammer is such amazing,
Angel.
deep lore that you could do, like, Necrons are cooler than Space Marines, and Orcs are cooler than Space... Everyone's
wanna be
cooler.
Necrons?
Dude, a 3-player
Yes, I
co-op
always play
Necron game
Necrons.
would be cool as shit.
There is Mechanicus. Go look that up. There's also Mechanicus 2 coming out. But yeah, I found myself, deep in the lore, finding all the little bits. Like, check out this freaking cherub. It's freaking awesome. I have the finished versions. Oh, that's so cool. Look at this fucking cherub. Looks like a fucking Terminator. This is so cool, guys. Seriously, this game is fucking amazing. It's freaking sweet. Bringing to life 40K lore. Oh, awesome. I just don't want to leave this room. I just want to study, open these books. Calling out all the lore bits, like, oh, look at this tank. This is the Chimera. This is the Aeronautica Imperialis. I own that miniature, this and that. So for a fan like me, it's always going to be even more
Yeah.
enjoyable,
'Cause
I
during the
think.
missions, like a lot of the times, it was just you sightseeing. It was like, oh my god, look at this, look at this.
Yeah, it
It's like, he just
I don't
died
know
3
what you're
times. It's like,
talking
help me, I'm
about.
dying.
I did spend thousands of dollars on my mini collection, so I have to flex here and there to make it worth it. But yeah, and the gameplay, the gameplay is not going to blow anybody away, guys. The weapons are kind of limited. Probably have, I don't know, 10, something like that. It's not, and you'll mainly use a handful throughout the entire campaign. You'll find one you like and kind of stick with it. There's a bunch that just have no purpose and you wouldn't really use. You just kind of
Very
fart
shitty.
around with for a little bit. But I did appreciate the executions. The enemies will flash red, then you go up and you get the gore thing that Joe's talking about. And if you play on higher difficulties, this thing can be challenging. You've got blocks, you got parries, you got a little bit of combos that you can do. And just like any good Warhammer game, there are customization. So there's tons of armor pieces, tons of colors that you can kind of unlock. However, at least in multiplayer and throughout the game, really as you're progressing, it's extremely slow progression. You're not really going to see a lot of this customization when you're in the single player. It's only when you're playing the other modes of the game that you can see a little bit more of that, especially in multiplayer, which we will get to. But what did you guys think of the graphics?
I think the graphics when they were working were great. So we both had issues where we'd get some slideshow moments. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background, and I don't know if they're rendering all that stuff real time, but it looked good. I mean, for a smaller, Saber isn't a massive studio, and I think they did a really good job with it, especially compared to Space Marine 1.
Yes.
They've come a long way,
Yeah.
and then the game looked good.
Now, I have a theory that Space Marine 2 is actually just Space Marine 1 redone with different factions, and the story's kind of similar. We'll talk about it in a bit. But I agree. It's just, like I said, bringing life to the 40K world. There's just so many impressive interiors you get to see, and then awesome exteriors, these big battlescapes that you see stuff happening in the background. They developed this new AI system to have these large swarms. Then that stuff that was a little bit lacking and missing in the first game, and so the technology there is great. It makes the skyboxes in the game very impressive.
So while you were getting pretty pictures, we were getting some moving
How's it
movies
go?
in the
It's
background.
2 months
That's
later, there's patches out, so what they're talking about probably not an issue anymore, but at least at
hope not.
release it was. So that's why we're mentioning it here. And then I just love Battlefleet Gothic so much. It's one of my favorite tabletop games. Battlefleet Gothic is the space battles in the Warhammer 40K universe, and so to get fully realized ship interiors, there's just so much authenticity built in the game, and it reminds me of playing Chaos Gate with Devin when we were younger, and we're actually in the ship and you're picking the Marines. I would love an updated game like that from this developer who seems passionate, who can recreate that. Instead, this is, like Joe said, kind of a standard hack and slash, okay? This is a standard fare, but it's good and solid
Yes.
in all respects. But I just wish they had pushed it in a few ways and created a little bit more innovation other than 3-player co-op and bigger swarms. And we can get to that now. So one of the let's talk about the story first. So high quality ass cutscenes. Really enjoyed it. Initially, pretty standard fare stuff. If you're not into the Emperor protects and all this stuff and roleplay like we did, you'll probably get bored a little bit quicker than somebody like me, because I was fully enjoying it the whole way. But the game, without a doubt, has one of the most awesome last sequences. This conclusion, shit just ramps up, you know. The Tyranid swarm gets kind of sidelined, and now you have the Thousand Sons. It's almost, that's why I say it's kind of almost like the first game, where it's orcs.
Was that supposed to hurt?
It's the orc invasion, and then the orcs get sidelined because it's actually chaos. Well, here it's Tyranids. Oh no, the Tyranids get sidelined. It's actually chaos. Only in that one, it was like Black Crusade or Black Legion, and here it's Thousand Sons. Now, Thousand Sons is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, you know, traitor faction. So I was enjoying it even more. Oh, fucking sweet! Thousand Sons!
Oh.
This is my faction.
Traitors. You will burn.
I didn't expect that. Usually they throw corn. I wonder if there was anybody out there who was like, oh man, I wanted more Tyranids. Now, they're about to release a Hierophant, I think, like this huge bio-titan that I think is going to be in one of the operations. And they saved the Hive Tyrant fight for an operation fight. So kind of interesting and weird there. You think it kind of takes away a little bit from the story moments that you can have just to kind of pump up operations. For me, there are plenty of different Tyranid types that you could keep the Hive Tyrant in the main and then have a different creature, a big ass creature, in the operations. But what did you guys think of the story, especially like Joe, from a non, you're not into the lore as much as me. Did you feel like the story was boring, acceptable,
No, I didn't think it was
fun?
boring. Like I was lost a couple of times. It's like I don't really know what's going on, but it's like I know what we must do, right? For the Emperor, we're doing this. It's like, all right, man, whatever you want to do, I'm following your lead.
Yeah.
It was a little overly dramatic, but I mean that's kind of the whole thing. Heresy. If I sniff a second of heresy on you, and there's some character turns that's like had me rolling my eyes.
Yeah.
I think right before it gets to that final conclusion, and I'm glad that we immediately went there, like because I was getting really tired of like. You were playing it. You were playing. It's like I can't trust you, and I need to kill you, brother.
Yeah.
It's like
that was
come
the
on.
worst part of the first game.
You don't need
trust.
a drum and stuff. It's like you already have everything else that's going for you.
Yeah. So I think that the story finished really strong, and that really saved it for me because I was getting very bored of our squad don't trust each other kind of stuff.
Yeah, that we got from the first game kind of played over again. So I think it starts very strong with the Death Watch prologue for Titus. You end up fighting a Carnifex, and this is just an excuse really to get you to become a new shiny Primaris Space Marine. I know Joe probably didn't notice.
Nope.
But the
Space
the
Marine
model
hierarchy
line
is based on height. The taller you are, the better you are, and the short people get no respect.
This was because when Games Workshop first
Such
came
is
out
life.
in the 90s, in the 2000s, the Space Marines were, being sold. And then Games Workshop, why don't we have this genius idea where we resell all of the Space Marines with slightly larger models? We'll call them Primaris. Mm-hmm. So that's what happens in this game. You die and you come back as a Primaris and upgrade to the new hotness. Now, I think there is a huge missed opportunity with Titus himself. I wish we would have built more on his character, kind of confirmed some stuff from the first game. There, my theory was that he was a latent psyker and kind of using. And it would have been really awesome to see in the sequel that get ramped, because that was hinted at in the first game. Well, some people thought he was a blank, but in my opinion, he's not a blank. That he has. Blanks have no connection to the warp, Joe, and he was said to have a deep connection to the warp. And, blanks are like Sisters of Silence, where they're not affected, and you would want to rush them out and deal with chaos and
It also
warp.
freak out every psyker that he ever came into contact with, and we never got any of
Yeah,
that. So it's
exactly.
like-
So he's not a blank. I think he's a latent psyker because he has this deconnection to the warp. How cool would it have been in the sequel is if you start using like low-level psyker powers too to add to the arsenal of weaponry that you have and mechanics that you have in the sequel. And I was so much looking forward to that. And they didn't do that at all. It was basically the same story again. In fact, they used the same MacGuffin weapon that was in the first film. This device that I forget what they call it, portal. So it's kind of a lot of it is the first game played over again. But like I said, the Death Watch prologue was great. I loved all the bits of the Imperial Guard fighting against the Tyranids. Yeah. Oh fucking hell, Baneblade.
You will give your life in the name of our holy emperor! Sir, yes, sir! Will you give your life in the name of all that is good and pure? In the name of our holy emperor? Sir, yes, sir! Then take up the Cadian standard and hold it high so that the enemy will know the name of their executioners!
This is cool as fuck. There needs to be a goddamn MMO. Long ago, THQ tried to create a Warhammer 40,000 MMO. Fortunately, it never came out.
It is a time of war. Demons, aliens, and heretics descend upon the Imperium of Man. The battle lines are drawn. Who do you serve?
And it goes pretty crazy and frenzied, and I liked it. So ultimately, I think even if you're a non-fan, you would say that the story is good. But I would have appreciated one or two more sections in the gameplay that might have been a little different, because you do get a little bit of fatigue and a little bit of repetition
kinda feel that.
doing the same thing over again. So, well, I mean, they try to vary it up with the jetpacks. What else did they do? That's pretty much it.
That's it. We got
You know?
jetpacks and then hammers.
You see this really awesome sequence of a dreadnought taking, out a fucking Helldrake in the sky and just throwing shit, and it's fucking awesome.
That abomination is mine! In the name of the Emperor, I cast you down!
War gear, bro.
Holy terror!
It would have been great to take control, but obviously in the lore, you're not a dreadnought unless you die and come back as a dreadnought, get put into a dreadnought. So it's a machine spirit. So I don't know. They could have done something, put it in a different perspective, or maybe had that kind of stuff in operations. But they play it safe, and by playing it safe, it does lose a little bit. But when you execute it so well as it's done here, I really like it.
Come, foolish Astartes. Time for a boss
Let's go into sort of the last aspect, which to me would be multiplayer. What did you guys think of multiplayer?
I played a lot of multiplayer. I really wanted to see if this could be something, because I miss having a multiplayer game. Like, I could not playing Battlefield or any of those other things. So I put a lot of hours into it. And you touch on a little bit, I think the multiplayer progression is terrible. Like, I don't think it's bad. I think it's terrible.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's worse than bad.
It's way worse than that. Like, if you want to play and you want to unlock, like, a
Now,
multi-delta...
not everything has to be Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what we're saying.
No, I'm not saying, like, some of the balance can be tweaked. That's fine. You only got 3 maps, which is not enough. The unlocks were so slow, and it kind of sucks. And so it's like I was expecting a little more. Now, this is the live service aspect of the game, but I paid money now.
Yeah.
And if the main campaign is a little bit shorter and we played it safe with the story, this is where I'm supposed to get my money's worth, is multiplayer and operations. And I think that they kind of dropped the ball with multiplayer. I think it needed more time to cook. I did enjoy playing it. That's why I played it so many, additional hours. Like, I would leave here and go and play more multiplayer. It's just, the more I played, the more I thought it wasn't very good.
Right, and I think the way I look at multiplayer is exactly that. However, I don't think I ever expected much. That's a shame because this game could have gotten a 10 out of 10 from me easily. If you had pressed that multiplayer section, some asymmetrical gameplay, maybe play as Tyranids versus Space Marines, maybe throw in, there are a plethora of factions, 25 other factions that they can throw in here. But no, it is 6-on-6. Very standard modes, Space Marines. And the first thing you'll notice when you go into multiplayer is you are a thin piece of paper. You are not a Space Marine. Where Joe said, man, you feel like this big badass. You have plenty of health in your armor.
Complete
blocks
opposite.
everything.
That's what I was going to say. Whenever I played, like, I still had fun with it, but there's like a certain class. It's like, I don't even want to play this one because I'm not very good with it. As soon as I go out there, I'm fucking dead. I'm fucking dead.
The time to kill in the game
fast.
is ridiculously short. You have to be very, very careful. You have to actually run out. You can't run out like you have Space Marine armor on a 3+ on a D6. No, you have like a 6+ armor.
You have half a wound.
Yeah, half a wound. It's like you're a fucking Gretchen out there.
We almost died. He knows it too. Look at him. I think I killed him. I don't know.
But anyways, and actually at first I didn't like it. But once you lock in, once you learn the intricacies, once you learn how to play, it's actually really quite strategic. It requires that you have a competent team working together, because if you go out on your own, that's it.
Fellow sniper, other Joe.
Ah, fuck.
Oh, they're coming.
Look at that. Well, get in there, Joe. Never mind, I got him. We killed each other. We're forming a rivalry. Joe just sitting there the whole time, chat. What the fuck? You see what I gotta deal with? Joe's like, I can't. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me.
Gotcha, bitch. I was waiting for a surprise attack.
Brother. Imagine you're dying instantly one-on-one. Imagine you going out on your own and you run into that team with 4 or 5, on their side, and you're gonna die.
Yeah, because that's the times I didn't have fun. Whenever I tried it online, I was just playing by myself. I joined some random people, and they would just run off by themselves. It's like, okay, well, it's everyone for themselves.
I started the attack chain first. Got him.
Swapping magazine.
Peace. Starting to win one-on-ones now.
The way I look at the multiplayer, it's like a bonus,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I
almost like I'm not expecting the game to have it, and it's a bonus, and I'll get an additional 10, 20 hours out of it, and then I'm good. But if you want from me, some tough love, that's where you could have gotten some additional points if we had seen a little bit more than just 2 sides. And frankly, it's not even really 2 sides. It's 1.5 side, because as Chaos, you are locked in.
You cannot customize.
No customization.
I mean, that's a little thing for me. I mean, it's big because it's like I spent all this time customizing everything for the whole game. It's like, finally unlock this heretics, and then they're like, oh, you don't get to customize them. It's like, oh, but
and
why?
Alex has customized Trader Marines. He loves Nurgle, and he's got like Santa Nurgle downstairs, and he spent time converting.
This is my Nurgle Before Christmas army. This is just a portion of what I've got modeled together that I painted and modeled myself. For my HQ choice, I have a Great Unclean One with a Plague Flail. It has Impenetrable Hide. His psychic powers are Fleshy Abundance, Nurgle, and Nurgle Rot.
That is such a big aspect of the hobby, and for them to be like, nope, you don't get to customize a whole faction. You only get to customize the Marines. I can see how it's like, darn it. But that's how you would have got like 9-10 territory. If you got maybe Tyranids as a playable faction, throw in some orcs, or flesh out at least, if you don't want to do too much of that asymmetrical work, the Trader Marines a little bit more, because you're locked in. If you want to be this class, then you're the Night Lords, the Raptors that are flying around on jetpacks. If you want to be the big tough ones, then you're Nurgle, because in the lore they take more damage, etc., etc.
They used to.
Yeah, they used to. And there was just a balance update that came out today, so they might be a lot better. That's the thing about the Warhammer tabletop. It's tough to keep up with it and get it going. But here in this video game, it's all right there. It's just easy for anybody to jump in. I love that I can share my love of Warhammer lore with everyone now. It's so accessible. It's easy to get into and understand.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic game.
It's
so
way
I am
cheaper
gonna
too.
go and it's than Warhammer. Yeah, I mean it's like the cost of 1 or 2 models these days. You can have an entire game.
Ridiculous. Not
No,
even
don't
painted.
let that. No,
Not
don't
even
let that
painted,
scare you
though.
away from the
Not
hobby. I'm
painted.
trying to get people into the hobby. I'm trying to waste your money. I'm trying to destroy.
Hey,
Look, I saved you a bunch
that's
of money
fine.
in the past. Now
Or
I'm going
you
to get you addicted to crap.
I was
Or
gonna
what
say,
Legos?
I was about to say, it's like, hey, that's fine, that's your thing.
Joe understands
I got
'cause he
Legos.
has
I totally
Legos.
understand.
His come
On
pre-painted.
my shelves is 40K. You go to it
Painted.
like,
They
man, you
come
spending too
painted.
much money on that. I'm like, excuse me, Joe, what's this? And on
collectible.
Joe's shelves, a bunch of Legos. Who's spending money? Huh?
Soon the X-Men mansion.
Yeah. But that was one aspect of the multiplayer. I think what and when I'm at my lowest, I'm like, man, this game would have had this game would have had this. Then you realize there's a whole third aspect called operations that they added onto the game. Again, this is PvE, so you get some buddies, you get players, and you fight the like horde type modes
Yeah.
or boss modes. And I think, yeah, it's basically the story missions, just slightly more generic so that they can fit. They try to do this thing in the story where you run into the operation squads and you're like, oh, what are they doing? And then later on you can play through their stuff. So what I think it does is it just adds more value
Yeah.
to the package. It's not something that's like, I'm running to go out and play.
Yeah, it adds more. I think half of it was really fun. I played through all of the operations one on like a lot of the lower difficulties. It gets very much not fun at higher difficulties. Like it is almost ridiculous.
Right.
Like it's,
so we ran into several issues, and we'll talk about glitches and problems towards the end here. Keep going.
But yeah, I don't think they balanced the final ones, and they've changed some things since then. One thing that when I was playing the operations, it almost felt like they pulled some of the best missions, or what could have been the best missions from the campaign,
And
and
put
threw
it
them
in
in operations. And so while I felt like,
you got to make your own.
yeah, and so I felt like everything was safe. The campaign was safe. It was a little short, but it was
Yes.
safe. I think the multiplayer felt safe. The story felt safe. But with operations, it's like I see all these pieces that if they had put it elsewhere, I think it would have really strengthened multiplayer. Like some of the customization, building your character up, and then some of these missions. Taking out the Hive Tyrant in the campaign would have been awesome, and
Yeah.
I think that a lot of players aren't going to get it.
Instead, you kind of fight Carnifexes, but you don't even really fight, because then we were in this moment where you're fighting
One.
Carnifexes, then 3 Carnifexes show up, and you're like, oh shit, it's about to get real, but then they die instantly
Yep.
because
Which is not how that
synaptic
works.
And I was, you stole it from me. I'm doing my
Is it-
Lord
is it
flex.
not?
No, that synaptic link doesn't work like that.
Gotta die though.
Oh, fuck. 2 fucking... Get out of here. Oh, fuck, I'm down. How did those things get killed so quick?
The Hive Tyrant. It's this.
Oh, that's right. The Hive Tyrant went down. The synaptic link was severed.
They all die, apparently.
Excellent work.
They definitely shouldn't die. That's Deus Ex Machina. I mean, in fact, that'd probably get even more dangerous, the fact that the synaptic link had been cut. And they just fall dead. It's like, no, they're going to rampage now, and they're out of control, probably kill their own.
But it also directly contradicts one of the previous missions where a guy literally tells you that is not how it works. They don't just immedially fall over. It's just like, wait, how do you...
So there are a few gameplay things here and there that we'll forgive, but I agree. I wish that they would have handcrafted the operations a little more and provide you some different bits than they do.
Get weird with it.
Yeah,
like this is an optional time. It is something that it's not that the fans are going to play over and over and over. Like, do weird stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't just have to be us sitting there watching Tyranids try to climb up the wall. It's like do
more
crazy stuff.
Military operations in this, but it would have been cool if it was covert maybe some Death Watch shit where you follow
Stealth?
the Death Watch and do some stuff. Not stealth, but yeah, because we're terrible at that. But okay, and as far as glitches and game breaking things, we mentioned a little bit some performance problems that the boys had, which is weird because I never had performance problems on mine. So it's kind of, I guess up to the
That's me. I'm known for
individual
that as
computer.
well. But also, I think it affected all of us when we were doing this one mission.
There you go. That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, that one was just-
Elevator.
yeah, we couldn't pick up any ammo or some of the health stuff.
I think what happened is you could clearly tell where certain sections are designed, okay, now you're going to fight waves, or now you're going to fight bosses. And almost always, they will ensure that there are ammo boxes before the
it
encounter
was
or
right in
ammo
front of
boxes
us.
at the encounter. Well, I think this was a glitch and was patched out later, but we still have to tell you from our review when we were playing it, there was none of that. So it was a huge difficulty spike in the middle. Now, I enjoy difficulty spikes. Got
But
that
not-
Dark
yes,
Souls.
I
But
get
when it
that
feels
too.
unfair and when it feels broken, it feels bad.
Because I can't think of these grenades or this health kit.
Oh, damn, that fucking warrior fucking took me out. No! That was the closest.
And this health kit bugged for you too?
Yes,
fake.
it is.
So both of these things.
I knew it. I was trying to fucking grab that. There may be a bug. There may be an ammo container right here. Bad.
Yeah, one of the other things that I don't know if it's by I still don't know if it's by design or not is the ranged units completely ignoring cover and boxes. Some
Sometimes,
things
yeah.
provided
Just
cover,
fucking-
and other parts where you're like, oh, I'm in cover, I'm fine, I'm just gonna sit here a bit, and nope, you just get aimbotted through a box. It's like, what is this? How is this working? I mean, there were times, especially like on harder difficulties, where 5 or 6 range units spawn at the same time and just instant kill someone in your party. It's like, what is this? Like, this isn't something that should be working that way.
Yeah. But again, a lot of these, in other games where it would have completely took away from the game and became the dominating story, these are small issues that didn't take away from my overall enjoyment of the game. I love it. I think Space Marine 2 is a resounding success. I hear it is a moderate success. Of course, I want it to sell like, Power World or something like that. It's not quite at this level, but it is a moderate success for the studio. And I think we're in a good position that we will see a Space Marine 3. But at that time, considering how close this story was and mechanics were to the first game, I expect a little bit more of an evolution. But I cannot deny how much fun we had, all the epic moments, all of the role play. That moment where they recreate the fucking box art of Ultramarines, like some of the fucking art in this universe is so good. And when motherfuckers planting the banner and we're back to back fighting, huge swarms coming in with a Lord of Change in the background and just a massive battle happening, it is pure heaven.
Raise the standard. We hold this ground in the name of we die with vengeance on our lips.
That's the Warhammer I know.
And I hope that those kinds of sections do get expanded in the future and we see more from this franchise, because Space Marine 2 is fucking awesome. So let's go with final verdicts in the extended review discussion.
For this, I'm going to give an 8. I had a lot of fun with it, but as we said before, we were kind of hoping everything was, as we said, they played it safe.
Yeah.
We were kind of hoping the campaign would have been longer, but they did throw in the other stuff. But the other stuff kind of felt bare bones in the beginning. I do like some of the customization, but again, it's the progression kind of slows that down. The story, it was fine. I honestly didn't know too much about it, but it was still like I still knew what was going on and kind of went along with it. But I kind of wish it was a little bit longer, and they added some more factions later on. One of my favorites, obviously, the Necrons.
Yes.
Those are gonna be
And
some
they
sweet
did
ones.
actually tease a little
They
bit to
did,
the
yeah.
Necrons. So
That's
maybe
what- that's
that's
how
what's
I'm-
going to be in Space
Hopefully
Marine 3.
3.
Maybe.
Hopefully we
Maybe.
get that. So
Yeah.
this is like, I would consider this a nominee for contender.
Yeah,
Game of the
contender
year.
for
Yeah.
Game of the Year.
I already know Wukong is my choice, but this is up there with it.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they did a wonderful job. I do. I mean, I agree that they played it safe, but when you execute something, even a simple thing, at such a high level, I think they deserve a ton of praise. I think 8 out of 10 is right where it needs to be. It was a little buggy. We had a lot of disconnection errors, especially in multiplayer. But I think that when you pay such respect, and then you also make a solid game with a solid story. Now, again, it's not going to blow you away. Like, a lot of the missions are exactly the same as the mission before, right? Like, you move from checkpoint to checkpoint, and then you're killing the wave that comes, and you move on. But
Melter guns are way more powerful than what they are in the game.
yeah.
Plasma, stuff like that. You know,
the
some
only thing I
liberties taken
use.
here and there.
yeah, but I mean, you can tell that they love this franchise. You can tell that they respect this franchise and its lore. And I think that this is exactly the type of company that you want to support. They are continuing to change things. They're continuing to balance. They're going to add stuff from the live service. But just on launch, I think that this is a really good game. I think it's an 8 out of 10, and I'm only taking away points because of the performance, because of the bugs, and because of it is truly simple for what it is. Also, Ultramarines are horrible.
I at one point, you know, in the lowest of lows, the lowest I would go is a 7. But you know, I think ultimately that final section, it's so cinematic, it's so satisfying, especially when you're playing with your friends. 8 out of 10 when you're playing with your friends. Maybe if you're playing on your own, 7, but 8 out of 10 the way that we played it. I really wanted, you know, I'm a mega fan, so I was gonna try to sneak in, you know, a 9 and 10. I can't on this particular one. I think we needed a little bit more innovation, a little bit more sections breaking up that single player, making operations a bit more beefed up and
Let us use some of
far
the
more
tanks in
interesting.
between.
Yeah,
or something. That would have been fun.
Just one extra bit, and then you're there. That
Yeah.
asymmetrical gameplay, multiple factions in multiplayer. These are all great problems and potentials to have for a future game. So we've laid a really solid foundation. They essentially, in my opinion, kind of remade Space Marine 1, except for replacing the orcs with Tyranids. They have the whole line of, are you a traitor and are you, you know, tainted by chaos kind of thing. And they did that over again. But it is executed at such a high level that I think it's fucking great. So 8 out of 10 all around here on the extended review discussion. Sorry, hopefully you guys enjoy this. I know it's super late, and you know we wanted to go big, but our Space Marine costume did not work out.
Mine fits, his didn't.
This you know, big Etsy
I look like
$3,000 fucking
like
thing
Bob
we had to
from,
cancel.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little tiny head, the big body.
So, but
It's not right.
but maybe for Space Marine 3. So I know some of you are going to be upset, but hey, it's, you know, real life stuff gets in the way. But because it's an extended review discussion, and now that we're done with that, we can talk a little bit more about you know, other bits. One thing that I wanted to talk about is, when when you're riding that elevator and the Marines are talking with each other, and then you just have this atmosphere and you see fucking Thunderhawks flying in the background and flying off into space, making orbital deployments and all this shit. I'm like, I kept thinking, I don't know how they're going to make this shit work in live action.
I was just about to say,
Ever.
how is Amazon going to do
How
that? Because
are
they
they
spent so
ever
much
going to
money
do
with
this?
fucking Rings of Power, and like you need that
Yeah.
stuff you talk about in the background. 'Cause,
You
like,
need to spend Rings of Power money on 40K.
yeah, but even
to
Rings
get
of
it to
Power
work.
looked very tiny,
Rings of
and
Power
you
has
just
made
see
big things look
landscapes.
tiny.
That's the part. Well, that's a fucking money
Yeah.
laundering operation over there, because we thought the one thing we could say about Rings of Power is that it looks beautiful and it's
Yeah,
very
it's a-
epic, but
the
it
nice
turns out to
landscape, though,
not
but-
be that.
Yeah, you need like those cool cathedrals, the ships, and like all the armor and everything.
So because it's so hard to get this shit to work in live action, I wanted to emphasize that maybe this is the best and most accurate 40K media that we're going to get for a while.
I mean, or we just go from my vantage point, and I don't think that the Space Marines have to be front and center. I like the idea of it being more grounded. We could follow around IG. We can do Eisenhorn, where Space Marines show up, but they're rare and they're special.
You
and like
have to make them rare
and so you can ground it a little bit because it's not. Games Workshop is like, look at these blue guys, love these blue guys. It's like, but it's such a rich universe. We can start somewhere else. We can start smaller, and then when people love it, then you blow it up into something bigger.
Here is the easiest way to do it. Okay, and your rival did it. There's a rival franchise to tabletop 40K. There's a rival game. Now it kind of fell out of favor, and other people have bought the license and are trying to revive it via Kickstarter. It's called Mutant Chronicles. You ever heard of this one?
That sounds familiar.
Mutant Chronicles, and I think our boy Ron Perlman one is in it. It was a really bad, low-budget kind of, live-action adaptation of that. And that's an example of doing it bad, but an example of how you could do it, which is you start with the squad. So you go Imperial Guard.
Yeah.
Because you could do the costumes. We've seen you could do Colonial Marines just fine. If you can make it as authentic looking, the interiors, you have to get the interiors right. When you spend the money, spend it on interiors. Hive world interiors, industrial looking, Gothic architecture. That has to be right. If it's not Gothic, it's not 40K. If it's not grim dank, then it's worthless.
Yeah, buddy.
And I'd start there, Eisenhorn or a squad, and then just getting eviscerated by either, I think. Like, I want it to get wacky because, frankly, if you put orcs, it's going to be wacky. Just the way they talk. They're talking. They have these accents. The Yumis.
Yeah.
Hey, you, we're coming for ya. You better run.
Cockney space orcs don't actually work in live action, I don't think.
But I want it. I want eventually to get goofy. Goofy, and I think that Judge Dredd needs to get goofy too. But I know they're not going to do that for the first time. The first time, I think they're probably going to take it very serious. Maybe Tyranids, right? Because give it that. Aliens work. Alien Romulus is so successful. Blah blah blah. So that's what they're going to do.
I think that's so much money.
Well, I think they'll still do that. That money will get spent there. So I think that's what we'll see. End up seeing as the first live action thing.
I think they're going to disrespect Nurgle.
Chaos.
We're going to get shitty zombies, bad cultists, and because that's cheap, right?
Yeah.
Like
it's cheaper to do zombie makeup than CGI or practical
that's I want
effect.
Tyranids. That'd be awesome because you have like something like Starship Troopers. It proves that it worked, and they did it forever ago when the CG was way worse. But I think that for the first time out, they're going to go real cheap.
Yeah, but honestly, I think the 40K universe is so difficult that I think it's going to scare off Henry. Henry doesn't actually play, the tabletop game, 10th edition. He hasn't actually played it. He likes painting the miniatures, and I think he enjoys the lore. But
that's not bad. That's what I enjoy.
He's a great fucking actor. But is he a great fucking producer and showrunner and lore master? I don't know. So I just don't want to put it all on that guy. And if eventually he leaves the project and he does Voltron or whatever, and he doesn't come back, then I'm not going to freak out too much. But I do think that it's very nerve-wracking to think about live action because the potential is there. This universe is fucking huge. It's just like another little known. Well, I don't want to get off topic, but Mech Warrior is also a really good live action potential mine to get stuff out.
You just can't do live action.
40K and Mech Warrior. We got to see some of this stuff in live action eventually.
Would you rather have no live action or get Rings of Power live action?
What?
Would you rather have no 40K live action?
An adaptation that's poorly done.
They're going to go for Power? They're going to go for Dune, but they're not going to spend the Dune money.
Have no.
I agree. I would rather have them not.
Use the money and do kind of like a complete CGI movie or
like
an anime movie or something like that.
They get the Astartes guy, have him do an entire series, and they just give him a whole team. But I would rather not watch super goofy, wrong-looking dudes in gray hallways where you don't know if they're in an office building.
Do you think it's possible, you out there in the comments and you guys, do you think it's possible that there can be Pixar for adults? Pixar for like grim dank, where it's like it's CGI and it's being marketed in huge trailers and movie theaters. Go watch this CGI movie.
Warcraft kind of did that, right?
No, because Warcraft was live action.
But then
there's a lot of CGI.
yeah, I mean, they can kind of
guess
do
so.
that. I think it'll get to the point where it gets.
No, I mean like no live action, where we're literally marketing a CGI film.
Yeah, I think we
Like
can
the
get there.
Final Fantasy one.
I
right?
think that in that sense, then yeah, it could work. Like that. Why you gotta bring that up? That's
That's
terrible.
all.
Final Fantasy
I was just
movie.
saying. Hey,
on
I
Netflix
didn't
right
make
now,
it.
there's
I didn't make
Gundam
it.
Requiem for a Dream or something. Requiem for Vengeance.
Requiem
something
for a
like
Dream
that.
is a great movie.
Yeah.
Different movie though.
All right. Anyways, this is what happens in extended
Yes.
review discussions. So I just thought it was an interesting topic.
Yeah, 'cause
we are on the
I was thinking
precipice
about that
of
too.
right into maybe having live action from Amazon. We think they're probably going to fuck it up.
Yes.
I want to tell you, I think the first one is going to be a fuck up. And if they do it again, a second one, that's where it's going to be. So I'm kind of already preparing myself that that this Space Marine 2 is going to be kind of the best and most accurate 40K media that we'll get for a while. So, all right. Anyways, guys, put your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for listening to us and for this super late review. And we will see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.
Lord Commander, your leadership will be remembered when the name Volistad is spoken. Hail to the Emperor.